Liberty Hyde Bailey, an American scientist from the 1900s, once said, "Anyone who acquires more than the usual amount of knowledge concerning a subject is bound to leave it as his contribution to the knowledge of the world." Sometimes, even the most corrupt nations obtain knowledge that could benefit the rest of the world. But sometimes that knowledge and power can be used against you or the rest of the world. I found a quote saying that democratic leaders whose power is ultimately dependent on the popular support are held accountable for failing to improve the lives of their citizens. Therefore, they have a powerful incentive to keep their societies peaceful and prosperous, whereas dictators have no pressure to better their nation since they obtained their power through force to begin with. This being said, a single ruler could destroy the hope and success of a nation. So, isolating North Korea more than they already are would be detrimental to global success because they would no longer be contributing to the world. North Koreans are already brainwashed the way it is and could be convinced to do anything, and many innocent people rely on trade and could die without that. But if we isolate them less, they would have more resources and make technological advances and potentially use them against us. They could start World War III, being that they're already at war with South Korea, and they've been brainwashed for so long that it could make a negative effect on the global society. So since so many nations contribute to the success of the world, it's important that we trade our resources and knowledge, protection, and advances in technology to help better our own nations as well as help benefit the success of the world. According to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, in 2013, the Middle East accounted for 81% of crude oil reserves. Imagine if they hadn't shared. Also, had China been isolated, we would never have things like paper money, immunizations, or gunpowder. North Koreans have been brainwashed by their leader, Kim Jong-un. He monitors what is put on the news, he limits internet usage, and he decides what information is going to be put on television channels. The problem with how brainwashed these citizens are is that they're 100% loyal to their ruler, and they could easily be manipulated to do anything. This is dangerous because they could be persuaded to start war and not know why. Since North Korea has very few natural resources to begin with, they rely on the support of many other countries. So just last year, the trade between China and the North was $3.5 billion. They rely on China for almost everything, from petroleum to plastics and food to mechanical stuff. If the rest of the world were to isolate North Korea more, they would lose valuable resources through trades, and this could create scarcities and could inevitably lead to internal issues like riots or even death. But North Korean leaders have used the power of manipulation to gain complete control of their citizens. If the world were to isolate North Korea less, who's to say that they won't try to manipulate us? I mean, considering they are power hungry to begin with. Giving North Korea less isolation would give them the ability to seek new technologies, and they could make technological advances that could help better their military and they could very well use that knowledge against us. But since North Korea right now is so far behind with technology, the United States government can stay at least 3 steps ahead of them because they are so far behind. But if they are given less isolation, it would be harder to keep wraps on them and know what they're doing at all times. And since North and South Korea are technically still at war, and they have been since the divide, by allowing Kim Jong-un more responsibility in the world, who's to say he wouldn't and couldn't start World War III? And the North has a very unsettling nuclear weapons program that no country should ever have to deal with. The Huffington Post states, the very few North Koreans that manage to escape every year often have a hard time adjusting to the real world, and many even return to North Korea voluntarily. By isolating North Korea more, they would become brainwashed even more than they already are. And since they have so few natural resources to begin with, they could not survive without the trade and help of other countries. And it's everyone's responsibility to contribute to the success of the world. So isolating them more would not help that. But if we did isolate them less, they would have more resources to better their army and possibly attack. And since they already are at war with the South, they could very well start a war or World War III. And it's already hard on their citizens. It could make it even harder by showing them what the real world is and forcing them to adjust to that. Thanks.